Hey
There we
everybody, how
go.
you doing, man?
Hi, Darren. Great to see you. Eric, Josh.
Great to see you
Hey guys,
guys. How's it
bear
going,
with me
everybody?
for working on this one.
Yeah, maybe we'll just start off with how you all feeling, man, with all the energies and us approaching like the, you know, eclipse, the end of the month and like days away, and because me and Victor were kind of talking about, oh, we lost Josh again. Me and Victor were talking about how light and airy it's feeling right now, and it almost feels like an energy of like liberation and freedom is coming. I don't know if you've been feeling the same thing, Eric, or not, but.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had that. I've also been listening a lot to and actually you introduced me to it, but the work of Morgan Bryce.
Oh yeah, the scene method thing.
Yeah, Morgan Birch. But I've been listening to a lot of her other videos that don't specifically have to do with her scene method and go into like basically like relationship stuff of like how to actually handle like disagreements and fights and all this other stuff in relationships. And part of that has just been like realizing that like the whole realization of like needs and other stuff aren't a bad thing, and like they're like various things like that. So it's been really releasing a lot of stuff over the years just from listening to her content.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I get it because yeah.
Looks like Josh is having a technical issue.
Oh, he's still gone again.
Yeah.
He says, I can't seem to get this to work on my end, guys.
Right. Well, I mean, I'll keep adding him. If he comes back, I'll keep adding him. But,
Thanks for coming by, Christy.
Yeah, thank you. And everybody else.
yeah, thank you. And everybody definitely subscribe to all our channels. I'll drop them in the comments of the um, of the of the chat. I can laugh out loud, but can't see anything on the screen.
Oh, come on in, man. I'll
Yeah,
describe it to you.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, just come on in, man. Yeah, it don't matter.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah,
supermodels. You're not here for our faces. So
no, no. I mean, and I, I can honestly say, you know, um, I was explaining to Victor before we jumped on here about the things that are happening, like with the wars and stuff and everything that Trump has been cutting off, and how I've seen it from like a spiritual aspect, even going down to what you're talking about, Eric, because you're healing these things within yourself, and then it's reflecting in the outer world, like what I explained to him about that whole thing with NATO that Trump just cut off after a century, and how we've been funding Europe and all this stuff for God knows how long. And then he made a comment and said, "Well, now it's time to take care of America, like we take care of ourselves." So then, if you see that from like a spiritual standpoint, what has most Americans been doing for a majority of my life, majority of my parents' life, probably yours, is people pleasing, taking care of everybody else but yourself, right? And now we're starting to wake up and realize we need to take care of ourselves, right? And so it's showing in the in the things that are happening on the world stage, so to speak.
yeah, I mean, there was also an element geopolitically of building up a strong Europe, building up certain allies in the Middle East and in Asia to prevent the spread of communism and holding back Russia and all this other stuff. So geopolitically, there was that element as well,
Yeah,
which was never honestly needed in the first place because all that was a ruse, anyways. But yeah, there's elements of that as well.
yeah. Well, the parts you're talking about is just covering up for like corruption, using
Oh
them for
yeah.
using them for like corruption to line the pockets of people, these people in these positions. But I see it differently. I just see everything as a mirror and a reflection of us internally, and the work we keep doing as we change the world, like Joe Dispenza says. So sort guys, it's not wanting to cooperate. Oh man. Well, if you can just get on, Josh, you don't have to see us on the screen. Everybody's going to be able to see you on the replays, so it won't really matter. Oh, okay. Yeah, but you don't have to. I don't know if it's like not cooperating in the way that you can't see. It don't matter if you can't see. I don't think, like Eric said. But anyway, what do you guys want to talk about? What's the agenda for today? The topic for today?
Well, I wouldn't mind hearing more about that Ishmael fellow you were speaking about earlier.
Oh yeah, okay.
What else
Yeah,
has
his
with
name
the
is
dates? You had some specific dates too.
Oh
Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. And first of all, his name is Ishmael Perez. You can follow him on YouTube. I think it's called The Real Ishmael Perez because there's a lot of phony channels that they steal his videos from, and he goes live 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, and he speaks to this gentleman called the guy is a he's lived for 398 years. His name is Valiant Thor, and that's he communicates with and gets a lot of his transmissions from and his information from. So the guy's name is Valiant Thor, and he also taps into the Akashic records, gets a lot of information through the Akashic records. And but yeah, you can follow him on Instagram. I think it's The Real Ishmael Perez on everything. I can send you the link too, just in case it might just be Ishmael Perez on YouTube. But anyways, he spoke about last night about the med beds finally being released, centers being opened on March 31st to April 2nd. That was one thing, which is like literally like right around the corner. I don't know where they are. I don't know what he didn't state that, but that was one thing that he mentioned that was big that I feel like. He also mentioned the island files are sitting on Pam Bondi's desk, and you guys know what I mean by the island files. That they're waiting. Huh? You do or you don't?
No idea.
Oh, the EP.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I just say the island files because YouTube and stuff. It's waiting on their desk, the list, and she's gonna literally, supposedly soon, put it out to the general public. So that's another thing that's gonna be a big thing that's gonna bring down a lot of things, I feel like. And then he keeps talking about humanitarian funds, and I think I mentioned to you this before, Eric, and I just told Victor about it earlier. And he speaks of humanitarian funds as there's going to be centers that open and they're already set up, and they're going to like call us or contact us to go into these centers, and then we provide what we're going to do for humanity, and then we're going to be provided the funds to develop whatever we want to develop.
That's very interesting.
And so a lot of the things he speaks of is like the fourth and fifth dimension, the new earth, and how we're going to ascend. And he just goes into all in depth. His lives are phenomenal. I resonate with just about everything he says. I don't think he's out there to put anybody in fear. It's just, so yeah, I check in with myself as well to make sure that, I resonate with the things that he's stating. Yeah, I'm sure, Josh. I mean, I can believe that they're, kind of like the other one too. But you know what he did? He did say he read through the last file, the JFK files, and he said it was like 80,000 documents. He said he stayed up till like 2, 3 in the morning going through it, and he said you had to really intuitively read the documents to find out what it actually was, who was involved, and of course the agency with the C was involved, from what he says, and I'm sure other parts of the GOV was involved as well, obviously. So that was another thing he mentioned, and then but I still think, even though like what Josh said about it not being the full files, I still think it's going to crack things open for us. It's just the part of the reveal, it's the part of He even talks about when they're going to do when the extraterrestrials are going to come forward, and it's going to be disclosure, and he said he's going to be a part of it when all the ships come down. And
Did he say when?
that he didn't say, but he did talk about a lot of us are going to be taken care of by the end of April. This is the dates he's been saying. He also was saying that by 2028 the Matrix construct completely ends by 2028, and that the Galactics are forcing the White Hats to complete everything, like the disclosure part, that they have till the end of 2025. That's it. So if they don't disclose everything by the end of 2025, then the Galactics, which he calls them, instead of the Galactic Federation, he calls them the Galactic Alliance, because he says they changed names or something. And he says if they don't do it by that date, by the end of the year, then they're going to force the rest of the information, and they don't want the White Hats slowly dripping it out. They want them to push it out, all this information, because we literally supposedly we have till the end of 2028, till the Matrix completely is like. There's a specific date supposedly, from what I understand. Yeah, so a lot of stuff is really intriguing and interesting, and it resonates. Like I said, use your discernment. Go watch his channel, and I'm saying everybody on the chat. Watch his channel, and he goes live like 3 days a week, and he answers questions, and you can ask him questions, and he'll go back and he'll speak with the Galactic Alliance and get more information. So I feel like it gives you much hope, more hope, not fear, like a lot of these channels are doing and people are doing, and
Nothing to fear.
No,
Hey, welcome, D-Man. Good to see you.
I don't believe so. But there's a lot of
What did he-
trails, all this stuff, man. We definitely been suppressed from these abilities and everything. Like, I mean, it's just like I read someone's comment on one of the videos I was watching, and it's so interesting how we've been lied to on every level.
Well, you brought up the quantum financial system.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
The reason it's called quantum, I'm assuming, is because it's going to store data in the quantum realm and quantum records, which are probably, I would assume, something to do with the ether energy.
Yeah,
around us,
and
or
not only
stored in
that,
ether.
yeah, but not only that, this technology was brought from the Galactics. So literally, it's a system that is based off the heart center. So no one can you can't
be hacked, right?
You can't be hacked. You can't have a malicious intent either, because the type of system is because it's quantum. It can sense whether you're heart centered or you have some sort of agenda. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Could you imagine if they have a tool? Just roll with me with this for a moment. Because like those RV centers, as you were calling them, these centers that you were talking about that would fund people that are doing higher work. Wouldn't that be something? But what if they go in there and they use some kind of this is perfect tool for this, but they use some kind of wand on you, and they're like, oh, okay, you have a love quotient, or a quotient of 76 out of 100. So we'll help you do whatever you want to do.
That's what I've been hearing.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it depends on your heart center and how this is all the fifth dimensional new earth, and the fourth.
Wow.
And not only that, the woman that is behind the med beds was very interesting. She said that, well, he actually brought up that the elites, if you want to call them elites, whatever, they were actually messing with the beds and altering them so that you would lay in it and it would hijack your nervous system. So they had to take over all the beds and redo them. Found this out. So they were literally gonna like basically humanity would start using this equipment, and then their nervous system would get hijacked. It's kind of like what they've been doing for a long time with the plastic bottles and with the different ingredients. My friend was telling me how it would screw with your nervous system in plastic. There's some kind of thing in the bottles that you know, alters the state of your nervous system. And so this woman who is on YouTube, she's kind of like behind the beds, and brings forward the information. And she said that this was really interesting in what you're talking about. She said, if anybody has a certain type of like an intent, a bad intent, to come to one of these centers and harm the place in some way, the equipment can tell, and the closer you get to the property with that intent in your heart, she said it can literally, it'll drop you to your knees to the point where the closer you get, you can end up dying with a heart attack.
Oh, if you just ran into it, just run it as fast as you can, run at it.
Yeah.
And try to destroy the property. This is like high, like dimensional equipment that is starting to come down, you know, like replicators, even things like that we've been suppressed from, you know.
And think about, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. Think about what is the main thing in our community, in our wide community here, that keeps us from getting stuff out there. Support is money.
Or yeah.
Think about if we were out there advertising our stuff, blah blah blah, all the time on YouTube and all the television channels that remain. You know, if we could drop a couple $1 million a month on advertising, think about the vibration. Think about what's going to happen then. We probably wouldn't even have to do it very long, because eventually you'd get everybody be on board and teaching their kids the right way, or the enlightened way, put it that way. And then boom, then it's like generational, and stuff just falls. These old ways fall apart, fall away. I'm sorry. There we go.
No, you're right. No, you're right. I agree with you, man, because it's like, you know, if you watch TV, right? And it's like the commercials, you know, and the millions of dollars they spend on like the pills that they promote, and then they have like a million side effects that they read to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, they're backed with so much financial money to have even an ad like that continuously running, you know?
Yeah, we replace it with what's the side effect of love? You know, what's the side effect of love? And what's the side effect of freaking expansion, raising your vibrational frequency?
Or even like Reiki device that he invented, you know? You know, like a commercial to promote Eric's Reiki device.
Sure.
You know, and I mean, imagine that, right? Instead of like a pill that, you know, you're going to have bleeding out of your, you know what.
You have dry mouth, but you're bleeding, eye bleeding, and
all this crap, dude, and like
other kind of leakage.
Device like this that you have no side effects, right? I mean, it's like, you know, other than like your body balancing, you know, and it's like, I mean, I totally the days of that. I mean, it's like, man, in the 90s, I remember being at the gym, and I used to smoke cigarettes, right? And I don't know if it was the time that I was still smoking. I think it was. And I'd be on Spotify at the gym listening to music, and I had to hear this woman speaking that had no voice box, and her whole throat was cut out, right? And then she'd talk about smoking or something like that, and with no voice, and like a voice, you know what I mean? Like, it's things like that that I think that would never happen if these things were available to us, you know. And you know, there's not a million different things in our water that is, you know, or the skies, or you know, everything else that's kind of at why a lot of this stuff is happening, you know.
Well, think about that technology, though, the medbed technology. Think about what that represents, all the technologies to do that. So think about the ramifications. Are we close to having well, are we going to get replicator technology? That's the big one for me. And free power. All right.
Mhm.
Those are the two big ones. I've heard things that we're going to get some cube put in our house, and you don't even have to wire the house or anything. All you have to do is just turn your appliances on, and that cube will power
Oh, that's really interesting. I haven't-
50 TVs, or it'll power 5 or 1.
Oh,
It doesn't matter. So as long as you're in that field, that appliance is within that field.
huh.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever looked at some of Tesla's original work, but he was looking at creating these giant, like basically radio towers that would just radiate energy, and I mean that's exactly what that would do. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess if your light switch is on, you may have to mod your house a little bit. I don't know how it gets around that unless it just charges. What do you do in your main line after you disconnect it from the city? What do you do? Put some kind of receiver in there, and then boom, you have free energy. I don't know.
I mean,
That way everything is in your house is charged via your. It's like you wouldn't be able to use. I mean, how would you use your overhead lights? That's where I'm going. Your wall switches. You'd have to have some way to actually power your house. I think I'd have to put that.
yeah,
out
I've
there.
never heard of that before, but I mean, well, I
Oh.
mean,
Well, and that wasn't even actually my point. But replicator technology, just like think about it, like on Star Trek, they have industrial size replicators. You could literally scan everything in your house if you didn't want to carry a bunch of stuff around. And think about it, you could scan this mallet and then reproduce it exactly like it was, and it's just like this, even with all the dirt on it and DNA all over it. Maybe not the DNA, but think about how much cleaner our planet would get too. Because if you had replicator technology, that means you could break stuff down into its down into its smallest form. And so literally your house, you could have 0 footprint environmentally on your house that way.
wow.
Because
Yeah.
all your waste would go right into a replicator, and your replicator, like water on demand, it would just replicate it if you wanted to get it out of a faucet. And any showers, anything like that, boom, it goes right down. Instead of going to a sewage, it just gets reused. It's pretty
Wow.
cool to think about.
It is. I mean, and it's like just. I mean, really. I mean, we should be way beyond where we're at right now with even vehicles. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, hell, if we were not forcefully forgotten. What I don't know, man. There's something about it I don't believe that. I don't know what you guys think, but
Well,
about forgetfulness in the veil. There's something about it I just don't believe, because there's too many people in some of these communities that are trying to preach love and raise your frequency above all of it, and you're never going to rid the world of the third dimension and suffering and illness and all this stuff. I don't believe it. And I do believe that, like Ishmael says, that there is either off-planet beings controlling everything, or they're on planet, one or the other. But the fact that we've forgotten everything, a lot of us, and everybody's just trying to figure everything out, I don't know that I believe that. I think a lot of people's memories got erased intentionally. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Well, let me say something real quick about that cube. Josh pointed out it's called a tachyon generator. Pulls the free electrons from the air and spins with a magnet. And there was another comment in here too from Scotty. Let's see. Oh yeah, see, they're already pushing the overpopulation crap. Do you think they're going to allow med beds out? The thing is, I think there's a hole in that overpopulation. I agree, they're pushing it, but I think I've been seeing videos over the last couple of weeks about people in China post on social media. They're like in some of the top population cities, and the cities are they're like walking around going, "Where is everyone? Where is everyone?"
Yeah.
And And I even asked that on my show a couple months, well, maybe a couple weeks ago, because I'd watched this video series that I mentioned, and I was like, "Does it seem like places are emptier?" That's
Oh,
good food for thought.
yes, but you know what though? He said this last night, which I've heard this for a while, and I even channeled it, that there's currently right now 12 timelines. 6 are of nefarious, like that's why we're still seeing the contrast. 6 are positive, 6 are not, right? So you're seeing an overlay, but he says then we're going to have the bifurcation of all 12, which are going to merge into just 3. And one of them is going to be the AI dystopia type of timeline, which I'm not going on because we're going to have a choice. And that's where he says we're going to choose between the 3 timelines. One is going to be a middle one is going to be organic, and one is going to be AI, where you get a chip in your brain and all this kind of stuff, you know, that Neuralink stuff and blah, blah, blah. And it's much darker of a timeline. I'm good. I'm all for the organic timeline.
Well, explain that one.
The organic is like what a lot of people are talking about being the golden age and the age of Aquarius and the age of love, where you're living off the land and there's no poison, there's no suffering, there's no, you know, it's all like you living in harmony with everything, the plants and the animals, and people are conscious and aware, versus the other one where people merge with technology. And you have cyborgs walking around, and you have your half human, half AI.
And they're all considered higher realms, but that's the lower. The AI is the lowest.
Yeah, and you know what else he said, which is interesting, how they're going to try to draw you into that timeline through the chip. And the way they're going to sell the chip is that when they put the chip in you, you'll have you'll have telepathy through the chip. And he goes, you don't need that. You have that already, but they're gonna sell it in that way. So people will be like, I want that, like, because they don't know how to use the telepathy. Like a majority of humanity is like, you know, not like, you know, I don't like using the word sleep, but you know, is not conscious of the abilities and their psychic senses and everything else, you know. And so they're gonna just sell it like they did the V thing in the arm, you know, and give you like a donut or a free movie ticket if you go get your thing in the, you know. They'll be like, oh yeah, if we put this in, now you're going to be able to have telepathy, you know, and that's the way they're going to use to control you, you know, or like he said, like VR or all kinds of shit like that. They're going to like it's like dangling something, a piece of meat, steak in front of you, you know, in front of a lion or something, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, that's so cool, you know? And then that's when, you know, like someone even talked about it, the smarts, then they have the smart cities, right? And it gets down to the point where they have the smart technology literally in every wall, in everywhere in your house, everywhere you go, you know, it's like, it's installed. And yeah, I don't want to be any part of that stuff, man. I don't know about you guys, but how do you guys feel about that? Are you more for organic, or you want to like be walking around and see cyborgs walking around and be half human, half AI, and, you know, or are you more the organic, you know?
So I guess I'm very much in the minority, especially amongst the spiritual community, because I view like all technology personally, even AI and all that stuff, as just simply a tool. And so like historically we've had tools to like create fire. We've and our tools as we've grown up as a society have gotten more and more advanced. And so computers, AI, all that stuff is again just a tool. And right now, and for hundreds of years, the control and use of the tools have been dictated by a very small group of people. So we only know how terrible things can get because the majority of the incredibly valuable and incredibly like influential tools in life have been controlled by a very small group of people who are very traumatized and don't have the best intentions always in mind. And so I guess I like like that's where I go to like the Arcturians and like other beings that we know about in the spiritual community, where like they're incredibly and insanely advanced, and they're in harmony with their technology. And so like they very much, I'm sure, have computers and all these advanced technologies, but they're in harmony with themselves and with their like physical world and everything around them. So they don't use technology in a way that like is detrimental to themselves and to their the world around them. Because I mean, we can use AI and all the tools we already have that are ruining our world. We can use them in just a slightly different way, and all those issues will just literally disappear overnight. So
Yeah, but you know what though? It's like, what about like Atlantis? Even Atlantis did the same thing. They got to a point where the technology AI surpassed the spirituality, and what happened in Atlantis? You know?
yeah, and I mean that's again where it's the over reliance and the dependence on the technology as opposed to the reliance on the inner self and using the technology in such a way that it doesn't take away from your inner reliance and your inner independence. There's ways to be in harmony with it. Otherwise, it
Yeah,
just wouldn't
it's
exist.
still a part of Source. Yeah, of course. And
Yeah, exactly.
but look at the what it's been already with just putting out like a smartphone or TVs. People get massively addicted and they consume it and they can't stop, and that's the majority, you know. And then they forget about their gifts and their abilities and using their, you know, visualization skills. And you know, I don't know that. I don't know. I mean, can humanity really learn to use it that way? So
Well,
far, it hasn't.
no, absolutely, and that's where I just go to like, what is the culture? What is the culture itself that's been built up around TVs? Because you have a society that has gone through. You have a world that's literally gone through global trauma with World War I, World War II. We've had so many different traumas from all these different events that we've not addressed society at the level of a global society. And so there's a need, and along with that, we've been pressured and pushed to stop connecting with each other more and more. And so in a world where we feel connected with one another, like I don't know about you, but when I have a weekend planned to like hang out with friends, I rarely look at the TV. Like the only time I see the TV is when we go to the bars or go to restaurants and they have a TV up and that's where it is. But like we're so engrossed in other activities and being around each other and connecting with each other that the desire to watch TV just goes away.
Mm.
And that's where TV itself has been used as a way to like as an escape from the non-connectedness we feel from each other. And that's where things like movies and all like movies and TV shows are great ways to tell stories and to like propagate ideas. And so it can be good tools to show examples of different ideas or different thought forms or different patterns, but it shouldn't be used as a form of dissociation from your world, as a way of disassociating from what's around you because you're so disconnected from everybody else that you can't that you need TV or you need technology to just cope with the fact that you have no one that you're connected with.
Yeah.
And so again, I think it's just there's different ways to use it. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I've got movies that like I can put on and I just cry to, or I just put on for like good vibes because like I just enjoy the message and I enjoy the story and
Yep.
what it tells so much. But that again, that shouldn't be your only dependence of where you get your entertainment or where you get your connectedness from.
I agree with you, man. But at the same time, the way that we've like even the children and everything else, like majority, like you know for sure that majority, like I would venture to say probably like 3 to 4% are actually connected to their higher self, connected to even they're either gaming, they're either addicted to Facebook or scrolling or Instagram, or it's like and every person I come around, they don't know their purpose, they're lost, they're confused. I long period of time going through that, and I feel like as we go higher, we don't need the technology because we have the technology already within us.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree.
It's like where we can heal ourselves. I don't even want to say that word on here. We can, HEAL ourselves. We have it all within us, like everything. Like we don't even need the phone because we can speak. We can communicate telepathically, and teleport and all these different things that we've been, forgotten basically. And then I feel like it's gotten to the point where they've used the AI and technology to keep you from knowing who you are and to keep you from these gifts and keep you distracted and avoiding learning and connecting and aligning with your higher self, which is the most powerful thing you could have.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, they're.
So I love this. I want to say this real quick before you continue, and then continue, please, because I love like the fact that we're like on different sides with it, and like you're showing me different, and all of us, like Scotty said, I love that, man, because it's like, why should we get on here and everybody like agrees and says, yeah, sure, like that's right.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I love it, man, because you're bringing another viewpoint,
I'm going to share my perspective now. I don't know. I think it's interesting that you have those three realms or those three earths or those three choices, but I kind of see, or my desire is more like waking at the sunrise. Okay, I get out of bed and I'm like, what's my vibe today? And as I'm walking through my dwelling, whatever that looks like now, I'm like, oh, I might pull out a pad or something, or maybe just pull up my little touch screen that we can pull up on demand and go boom and hit one button. And as I'm walking into my living room, it's heavily forested now, however it is. And it's still inside, perfectly safe from the outer elements or whatever, but it just is transformative for you. So if you're feeling foresty today, you just create that environment in your house. And it's like detailed, and the panels, the walls will change and all that kind of thing. That's the melding, and it can still be very organic. And I could still have my garden outside that I actually go and physically do work with my hands. But where I'm going is that it's kind of a meld of that organic lifestyle, but also you could even put your house, your dwelling on your vibe, or to expand your vibe. So you wake up and you get out of bed and that's your vibe for the day, or that's keeping your vibe at a specific frequency. Wow. That's pretty cool to think about, actually.
No, that sounds awesome.
So it's reactive technology to you instead of saying, hey, you must comply and go buy a black suit, go work in some sterile building.
Yeah, and I mean that's the other thing is like with technology and whatnot, you can, or like with replicators and 3D printers and like more advances along those, like you could even like have some sort of like quantum meld where like you just have this idea in your mind, and instead of taking the like 2 months to learn how to use a 3D modeling software, like it could just read the idea and then it prints this awesome like suit for you over the course of just like an hour. Like or you go into things of like, oh, I have this idea for this device that could do really cool things, or an idea for like a hoverboard or things like that. And
a hoverboard, finally.
Yeah, exactly.
I've waiting for that a long time.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about like if you were asked or approach to merge with AI?
Oh no.
That's what I was kind of asking like earlier about, about like Neuralink and the chip and like putting it into for because
No. Sorry. No, along those lines, personally, I don't anything that I have not personally designed as an engineer. Like I'm the type that like I despise all the like touch sensors, all the like, oh, hook up your phone via Bluetooth or whatever. Like I am firmly in the grounds of give me a button that only does one thing. Give me a hard reset button so that if things stop working, I can just reset everything and turn it off or unplug it. And then give me lock and key because there's some finesse versus just downloading an app that can unlock something like that. And I don't trust other people having direct access to like my brain or thoughts or anything if that's what that technology brings forth.
well, I mean, yeah,
Get
that's
that?
part of it because it's like it's giving you the ability to have telepathy supposedly, but they could be just telling you that, and then when they do the surgery and implant it, it could be total BS.
It could be. Let me give a couple shout outs real quick. Hypnicity. I get that about your kids, your grandkids playing on their phones. And
Oh
I
yeah.
want to say hi to some. Excuse me. Hey, Bath Maven. Good to see you. Bath Maven. She's a celebrity over on my channel. And all right, there we go. I think we might be caught up with the shout outs I wanted to do. But I think you make a. How can I say this? It's interesting. All the stuff you said, Darren, earlier about these things that are changing, that comes with a lot. Now, do you think, does this Ishmael fellow think that first contact's going to be, because someone in one of my groups saw it this way, is that basically the president gets out there and he's talking, he's doing something outside in a big area. And he's basically saying, hey, it's time to know the truth. And boom, all these things materialize behind him. It'll be some big event like that.
I heard the same exact thing.
Did I say that to you?
No.
You heard it from somewhere else. Because my group.
I heard that it's going to be no. I heard that it's going to be that's going to be part of it. That's going to be it, where he's going to be the one that actually brings it forward because he's kind of already talked about it on like Joe Rogan and stuff like that to an extent, and he knows more than he's actually saying. And from what I heard, Ishmael said so I heard it from someone else, and then Ishmael said his point, and he said if it's not done that way, if they don't do it, then they're going to step in. And then he said, being the fact that he's a part of like the secret space programs and stuff like that, they're going to involve him in when they bring everything down, like the ships. He says he's going to be a part of it. When it's revealed, if they don't do it, like they say they're going to in the timeline, they say they're supposed to do it. Because there's a timeline right now that this stuff's supposed to start coming out, faster.
Finally.
Yeah. But what you just described is what I heard, where it's going to be him initiating it.
And okay, so let me go further on that. I felt in that in that vision right there that it was actually higher advanced humans that will be our first introduction, and then later down, after we stomach this, then later down the line they'll start introducing other races to us but it's going to be higher technologically evolved humans, which could be the SSP people. It could be the SSP or a completely other faction from the planet, depending on if it's round or if it's flat.
That's another thing he gave a timeline about is the solar flares, and the flashes. And he said there's going to be 3 of them. And one of them, he says, is springtime. That's the first one. And that's going to wake up the first wave. And then there's going to be a second one. I'm not sure exactly when. But the third one, I think, is 2026. But there's 2 this year, I think. And it's going to activate our gifts and abilities of the certain waves of people. I think that they're already happening because he said it's like right now we're at solar maximum in springtime. So we're already reaching solar maximum, and he says the CMEs have been coming in, and I feel like I've been feeling them. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, look at the light on the planet right now, you know. So that's supposedly going to activate the DNA strands, you know, which are gonna then we're gonna have like what he claims to say that we're gonna have superhuman powers that the people that get activated.
You mean human powers?
Yeah, but like what you would call like superhuman, like you know, like almost like superhero type stuff you would see in movies, you know. Kind of a great. I believe it. You know, I believe all this stuff, man. You know, I believe in the Yetis and the Bigfoots, and they're just in higher frequencies that we can't access. You know, and I just I believe in all of it. But there's some aspects of me that doubt a little bit too, you know, because we've been taught if you don't see it physically with your eyes, you know what I'm saying? That's how we've been taught. It's not real, you know. Oh yeah, and it's fiction in a movie that you can fly. I don't believe that. I just believe we forgot.
Yeah, okay. And think about the something that occurred to me a couple nights ago is think about that science is really not the front runner, but it's almost like now spirituality is becoming the things we do in this realm are becoming the truth. It's like science is out there to keep us busy in a sense, to keep our remarkable brains busy on these polynomials. But then really the true knowledge is coming spiritually because we're figuring out we can do things. I've communicated with people remotely. We know that energy knows no distance. All right. And I don't know how that communication took place with people, but our intention was we connected our energy and we sent symbols back and forth. All right. And I've done that with a number of people, some people even in this chat. And so we know it works. So are we at that point where spirituality, the spiritual growth is going to overtake our scientific knowledge, or is science going to be able, or are we, I guess it's perspective, are we in the spiritual community verifying science, or is science verifying us?
Yes.
Yeah. Or is it just an equal exchange like anything? You know, we always energy, the exchanges are always equal. Each party is going to get something out of it.
You want to
one side.
I think both groups are going to get something out of it, because like from the scientific community, they're like the work that's being done by certain individuals on like consciousness and all that stuff. It's showing that it's proving that consciousness comes from quantum reality, and then from there you can see why energy and why telepathy works, because quantum activity is non-local. It can there's the quantum eraser, which can quite literally reverse results back in time, so that history has quite literally changed. And all of that is part of consciousness because it's part of the quantum realm. But then that's also where like why would there be use or need to know all that without consciousness? Now the spirit community is out and showing the application of it, it's showing why this is work, or why this works, or why it's relevant.
You know what though? Like I think that we're destroying every aspect of what they've so-called science, you know, with how we're breaking barriers in so many ways that are like, they're like, oh, I can't even measure this with science. You know, I even really believe that very soon we're going to even remember how we can even walk through walls and all of this stuff, you know, because I know that we can do it. It's just a matter of remembering. You know, like I said, I think a lot of us got erased, you know, and by certain organizations, so to speak, you know, and because I really truly believe, there is people out here that are living for 300-400 years or more, and like this gentleman that he communicates with, even another guy I follow. I know I'm sure you guys maybe have heard of him, Jason Shurka. I followed him for a while. I don't know, you never heard of him? Okay. He speaks to some guy named Ray. He does like a disclosure series that he has, this unified TV type of thing. And I was following him for years, and he belongs to an organization called the Light System. And they're like an organization again and they are able to do different abilities and all of it. And supposedly, like Ray said, there's like a rabbi in the organization that's like hundreds of years old. And, they basically are kind of like the Galactic Federation to an extent. And if something is detrimental to the human race, they'll step in and like defuse nuclear bombs and different things like that. Or if there's like a tsunami coming, and they'll step in and stop it, in certain things that are like detrimental that could destroy the human race. They'll step in if it crosses lines, kind of like the Galactic Federation. So he's spoken about it too. I've heard a lot of people lately saying the same thing, that there is people walking this earth that are like 300-400 years old that or more,
or not people walking this earth that are 3 or 400 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, anything is possible, right? I feel like, oh, you do? Okay. Yeah. Jason Shurka. Yeah.
And maybe Eric's an alien. Maybe you are, Darren. Maybe I am. Maybe everyone gathered here right now, and we just don't know it. Our switches haven't been flipped on to be like, oh my God, no wonder I'm a Lyran. Jeez, that's why.
I mean, we all are. I believe. I believe you're. I mean, every one of us are like. I was in one of Ishmael's classes, and he spoke about the different races, and I literally resonated with almost every one of them. Orions and Lemuria and Pleiadians, and when he started describing the different meanings of each one, and I'm like, and I go, what if I like relate to all of them? And he says, well, there's a thing called a hybrid. So a lot of us are hybrids, which are we were mixed with so many different galactic lineages, so to speak,
Yeah, but that could be what we are as humans.
Yeah.
That's why we were created, to bring the light in, to bring this planet into the light.
I totally believe that, 100%. I believe all of us are. And not only that, I've done a lot of sessions on Eric, and we've also channeled, and I know for a fact that we're doing stuff with the Galactic Federation. I know a lot of people that I've come in contact with that work with the Galactic Federation and we're projecting ourselves here, but we're actually on the spaceship, which, if you want to talk about it, Eric, was in your thing about the bodies and everything. I don't know if you want to briefly say anything about it or not.
Oh, I mean, I guess like some stuff of like just keep an eye on what you feel around you as actual energy, and if that actually matches what you see as around you, or if it doesn't match at all, and then if it doesn't match at all, as you tune into the energy, keep an eye out for what those energies actually should be. So that's where certain things of like simulated realities and all that, we very well could be in different simulated realities all connected together to create this unique experience for us. And for whatever reason, it's what we need to do at this time. Also, cute kitty.
Yeah, like you go back to The Matrix, the movie The Matrix, where they're plugged in, and or even like a Avatar, where you get into like a machine, and then you are then like brought into the world through being kind of like a what you would call like those machines when you go get a scan or something at the hospital. You go into that machine, and then just like they did in Avatar,
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're like now in this body, in this so yeah, it could be I love these conversations, man. I love going down these rabbit holes, man. I love you guys, man.
It is fun.
It's so much fun, dude, and it's opening up our consciousness and expanding us. And yeah, I love it. I can't. It's just like I learn new things, and you guys learn new things. And the cool thing is, our followers are not like vicious or, you know, like what you would find when you talk about the flat Earth and the round Earth.
Well, hey, like attracts like, man.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm saying, like, to have a conversation with you guys, and then you don't get like red in the face and want to like choke me out for having an opinion, is just like, this is the new Earth way, man.
Yeah.
You know. And I'm so grateful to have just crossed paths with you guys, man. I know we planned this before we came here, and I'm grateful that it was you guys and all the people on the chat and Josh and Ben, and it's so rad, man. I never thought that we could actually have these conversations. I just wanted to add that into it, man.
Hey, we could, Scotty. We could, man. It could be. So you think about this. In my belief, we sign up. We know exactly it's predestined. Oh, well, how could anything be so? God's not that smart. Well, the thing is, if you're going to take the time from your highest being, all right, to come and have an experience, you're going to sell yourself on it. Meaning you're going to take away your memory, you're going to take away your knowledge, because everything that all of our understanding has been through meditation and going out there and seeking that higher understanding, right? All right. So, being on this path, having these experiences, having this conversation right now, living in a simulation are all part of the experiences that we signed up to have. And that's kind of a spoiler way to think about it. But if you ever need some perspective, just stop and think about your highest form. Your highest form is probably an intellect on some level, a crystalline thing. And we invent these wonderful simulations to go through so we can go through and have experiences. Because think about your experiences are just as important, whether deemed positive or deemed negative. They're still experiences.
Yeah, I still can't but then I have a hard time wrapping my head around, these 3-letter agencies and the things that have been just going on for thousands of years. And then coming to find out, a lot of people say that we're reaching the 26-year cycle, and now we're going into the 1,000 years of freedom and peace and harmony and balance. Maybe that's part of it too. I don't know, but I just, it just doesn't seem right, that you have a few billionaires and then everybody else is struggling, and I don't know, or the food you're eating is not, what you think it is,
Yeah, but we came here to have that experience of seeing it being one way and then corrupted, and now we get to see the rebirth of it.
Oh, and then actually changing it.
Yeah, we get to we signed up for this experience.
Yeah, because you know what? Somebody actually did say, and this was the most powerful interview I heard thus far yet. It was this astrologer, and she said we need to be brought to our knees. And she's like a channeler and astrologer and everything. And it was really, really good. It was on this channel called Wisdom of the North. It was so powerful. And she said, we need to be shown it in our face to finally choose differently and say, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not taking this anymore. I'm changing the way I do things, the way I go forward. Actually really feeling it to the point where, to your core, where you actually decide to choose differently. And I do think that that's something that we've had to have for many. Think about all these different times. Majority of the time, humanity went back to their old ways until it really, really impacted them, and they were brought to their knees. And that's what I think is happening now. And we're finally being flooded with everything in our face, really in our face, what's been happening in the food and the medical systems and the financial and everything, and to the point where it's affecting us to our core, where we're going to be that's it, man. This is we're changing this.
I agree. Hey, I have to go. So let me say my goodbyes to everyone. And Eric, good to see you again.
Thank you
Darren.
so much, Eric and Victor and Josh and
everyone that come out to visit.
Thank you, everybody, man. You guys rock, man. I love today was the best one thus far yet.
Excellent.
Yeah, see you guys next week.
And I will see some of you tonight at 9:45 p.m. Eastern.
Thank you, man. Love you
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Have
It's
a great
great to see
day.
you all and spend time here.
Hell yeah, man. Love you all. Take care, man.
Okay.